As you know, on Sunday night or Monday morning of every week, we post a new expository semiotics explaining why we would choose which lectionary readings. But in these readings, our dream is, and our desire is, to help you read the signs and fondle the details and spot the seminal metaphors, the condensed signs and the stories that are key for preaching to a digital culture. So strap on your seatbelt and join us as we prospect our passages for today. Happy New Year, everyone. This is the lectionary vlog for the 3rd of January. Wait for it, 2021. Can you believe it? We're going to say goodbye to 2020 and good riddance, and we're going to welcome 2021 with open arms. The readings for today are related to this kind of new year, new dawning theme. We begin with Jeremiah 31, verses 7 to 14. You're familiar with this, and your people will be familiar with this because there are certain snatches and phrases that they've grown accustomed to through music and through liturgy and just probably through your own preaching. But I want to, it goes from 31, 7 to 14, but I just want to read beginning with verse 12 here. Therefore they will come and sing in the height of Zion, and will be joyful over the goodness of the Lord, for wheat and for wine and for oil and for the young of the flock and of the herd, and their souls, now this is an incredible metaphor, will be as a watered garden. Isn't that great? And they will not sorrow anymore at all. Then the virgin shall rejoice in the dance, both young men and old together, for I will turn their mourning into joy. I will comfort them and make them rejoice from their sorrow. I will satiate the soul of the priests with abundance, and my people shall be satisfied with my goodness, says the Lord. That word satiate means really to stuff. To stuff till you're overfilled. You just can't, I can't take any more. Satiate the soul. I love that phrase. So a promise to turn mourning into gladness, to turn mourning into joy, to replace sorrow with gladness. Do our people need to hear this as 2020 leaves and 2021 begins? I was thinking, if you ask your people what is the shortest verse in the Bible, most of them would be able to say it's simple. It's Jesus wept, John 11:35. But that's not really true, because if you take the Greek here and you just use the Greek letters, the shortest verse in the Bible is actually 1 Thessalonians 5:16, which is rejoice always. Rejoice. Now, we accent the negative, and we kind of minimize the positive. But the whole story here, and the story that your people need to feel and hear and experience on this first Sunday of the new year, is that God turns our mourning, our weeping, into joy and into gladness. This is why the Jesus, I think, is the bright and morning star of the old hymnody, and not the evening star. He's the bright and morning star, not the evening star. Now, you've got some competition here, and there's a little confusion because in Isaiah 14:12, Satan is called the morning star. Let me read it to you. How have you fallen from heaven, O morning star, son of the dawn? You have been cast down to the earth. But in Revelation, Jesus calls himself not the morning star, but the bright and morning star. Jesus is the light of the world, the bright and morning star. You have Lucifer, morning star, and everybody, I've not seen this yet, but I know I need to, at least one episode of the Lucifer series that our kids are so hooked on. But it's Lucifer, morning star, but Jesus, bright and morning star. So just a little clarity here about the morning star theme, and because we're going to pick up on it in just a minute. Now, our psalm reading is Psalm 147, 12 to 20. It'd be great if you could have somebody sing that, because remember, all psalms were sung. They were never just read, they were chanted. Ephesians 1, 3 to 14, one of the early letters that Paul wrote, some of the earliest letters in the writings of the New Testament. And then the John's birth story, which is so different from Matthew, Mark, and Luke, where you don't get a manger, you don't get magi, you don't get Mary and Joseph. What you get is in the beginning, you get the whole story of the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In other words, the Word is Jesus. So in the very beginning, Jesus was with God. And nothing that was made without Jesus. So from the very dawn of creation, from the very beginning, the newness, you can't get any newer than this, the moment of creation itself, what scientists, some call the Big Bang, some others would say, no, it's really more a big bloom. Genesis has it, and God said, let there be light. God sang, if you will, sang the world, creation into existence. But Jesus was there. Jesus was there. The bright and morning star was the first star of the heavens, and nothing was made without him. Jesus was the Stargate to the creation of the universe. And we've been fixated on stars a little bit. Stars have been in the news because of this planetary conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. And people call it the Star of Bethlehem. It was speculated to be maybe the Star of Bethlehem. The last time it occurred was 800 years ago. So if you didn't see this one, you got to wait another 800 years. But they came so close to one another that they began to look like one bright star, the Christmas star. And it actually, in some pictures, especially in South Africa, where they took the pictures, it came together in such a conjunction that it looked like a star cross. The fulfillment of the prophecy, the star prophecy, a messianic reading of Numbers 24:17. But this whole theme of stars and the stars in the sky and Jesus as the Stargate. And I would, if I were preaching this, and I'm encouraging you to play with this some, and I'm going to give you some metaphors that you can work from and play from. But to develop this star theme, because the stars have been in the news and people need the sense of a new beginning, and they really need a sense of Jesus as the bright and morning star, the only one that can take on the Death Star, the Lucifer morning star, which is the Death Star. So I'd focus on the star theme. And of course, we got the Magi being led by this star that's coming up. But in Judaism, stars symbolize the unlimited nature of God. They often accompany prophetic voices in the scripture. The well-known, and this is maybe how I might begin my sermon if I were you, the well-known expression, greeting, Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov. You hear that, and it often means congratulations. Mazel Tov, congratulations. Or good luck, Mazel Tov. But it really, literally means good constellation. That's the literal translation of this Hebrew phrase that has become a common parlance now, so that almost everybody knows it. Mazel Tov. Good constellations. May the stars come into alignment. And what a way to begin the new year. Mazel Tov. So, Mazel Tov. But what does it mean for the stars to come into an alignment with Jesus as the the Stargate. Now, a Stargate is a portal. If you've seen the series Stargate, which I haven't, but I know about it. You can't almost be alive and not know a little bit about it. But Stargate, it's a portal or a wormhole that sends you to another location, another dimension. It may be light years away, but it happens nearly instantaneously. That you have these energy vortices that once you enter them and get swept up in their pull, you are ushered into a whole other dimension. And that's, can you come up with a better description for Jesus? That portal, that energy vortices that kind of gathers you in and summons you and takes you, transports you, teleports you into a whole other dimension of living, a cosmic portal linking us to distant people, distant places, distant missions. What a Stargate Jesus is. If you wanted to show this a little bit, one of the best. It's a little long, so I'd crop it a bit. But the Space Odyssey 2001 Stargate sequence, it's like 4 to 5 minutes. You can just get it on YouTube real easy. But the series of colors and images, and they just take you through this wormhole, through this Stargate, and you see all the colors, and it's almost like a kaleidoscopic wormhole that transports you into a whole new dimension of living. So let me give you some metaphors that you could talk about Jesus as. If Jesus is the Stargate, then there will be, and then you could play with these, take one, take two, or take none. I don't know. First of all, Starburst. If Jesus is your Stargate, then there will be starbursts in your life. In fact, in paintings, Jesus is often portrayed with these starbursts behind him. Sometimes they're yellow, sometimes they're almost white, but these bursts, a starburst. And Jesus is the starburst of faith and hope and love, the starburst of creativity and creativeness and all sorts of new ways of thinking and newness of life. So the starburst metaphor. Another one is the stargazer. If Jesus is your Stargate, then you will be a stargazer. Socrates, in his metaphor that was recounted by Plato, portrayed the captain of the ship as the stargazer. That was his role. And for Socrates, of course, this was like a philosopher who could kind of set the course by reading the constellations of the heavens. But you will live a life of stargazing as you always scan the offing, as you always scan the horizon for that Stargate that will bring new life and new meaning to life. There will be stardust. You will come to appreciate the fact that when the Bible talks about from dust you came, from dust you return, to dust you return, it's really stardust that we're talking about here as well. I mean, the ground, the earth itself, you and I, it's stardust. Astrophysicists and planetary scientists tell us that nearly all the elements in the human body were made in a star, and many have come through several supernovas, and that we were all created from this stardust. And so there is stardust in us, and that's why it's so powerful to look at the stars. And when God created you and I, and created us from the ground, from the dust, this is stardust. Starlight is the light emitted by the stars. And starlight and moonlight, by the way, two of the most beautiful words in the English language. But the starlight is Jesus. And And part of the Stargate, a pull of that Stargate, is to come into the starlight. And that metaphor of starlight. And can people see the starlight in you? And can people, are their lives illumined by the starlight that is illumining your life from that Stargate of Jesus? Starfire. I love this metaphor. I have come to set the world on fire, Jesus said in Luke 12:49, or I have come to cast fire upon the earth. In 3 different places in Revelation, 3 different places, it says that Jesus' eyes are like, are you ready? Flames of fire. Flames of fire. But it's not just any kind of, what kind of flames of fire are they? And the flames of fire that we're talking about here, you see, it takes fire to fight fire. And maybe there is an old song, Day Star, Shine Upon Me. Let your love shine through me in the night. So this gives us the starfire and the starlight. And this stargazing gives us star power. Star power is a different kind of star power than the world is familiar with. Because this star power points the way to true stardom. And Jesus is the ultimate star power. And Jesus gives us a different star system than the whole world's stars. It's not the Hollywood star system. It's not the sports star system. It's not a Hollywood star system, but a holy wood star system where you sacrifice for others and you live a life of service for others. In the Hollywood star system, the Oscars are the crowning deities. The stars are the deities. The Oscars are the roll call of the gods. Even in other worlds, like in the world of architecture, they're called, the celebrity architects are called StarQuakes. And every city wants, how many StarQuakes can we accumulate and collect so that people will come to our city and see all the star buildings. And we're talking about a whole different understanding of star power, where the greatest are the least, and the strength is found in weakness. When Jesus is our star power, there will be StarQuakes. A StarQuake, it's an actual event. It's vaguely similar to an earthquake, but occurs on a magnetar, a mysterious type of star that's extremely dense and magnetic. And scientists have only identified so far 23 magnetars. They've recorded 3 StarQuakes, one in 1979, 1998, and 2004. But the star power will StarQuake your life. It'll StarQuake your community. It'll StarQuake your church. It'll StarQuake our world. The earliest image for the church is a ship. And I've often thought, why didn't we image the church in more recent days as a starship? A starship. Starship Ecclesia. Not Starship Enterprise. Starship Ecclesia. We're on a star quest. And each one of us, we could talk about members of the old ship of Zion, but maybe we ought to talk about each other as shipmates or seatmates. That's what a mate means, somebody who sat at the table with you. And that's why you called them a mate, because they had actually broken bread with you. Table mates. Table mates on Starship Ecclesia. The Magi followed the Star of Bethlehem to Jesus. May we follow the star that lights the way to Jesus, who is our North Star, who is our pole star, the brightest star in the heavens, the pole star. And when we keep Jesus in pole position, everything in the heavens and on earth comes into alignment. Jesus is life's lodestar, the pole sitter on the highway to heaven. And this is the time to remind your people in 2021 what star to follow. What is their pole star? What should be their pole sitter on the road and the highway of life? At the end of a rainbow is supposedly a pot of gold. At the end of a star, especially if it's the Star of Bethlehem or the StarGate of Jesus, is not a pot of gold. It's a one-of-a-kind pottery, shaped and molded by the divine potter, designed for a life of service with only one like it ever made. And that's worth more than that pottery, you, is worth it's worth so much more than any pot of gold. I will never forget the power of a metaphor that actually Loren Isley, in his book Star Throwers, was the first one to use it, and then Joel Barker brought it back. And in my ministry, early in my ministry, this little parable, he did a video where he kind of animated this parable. It tells about a wise, elderly man, much like Isley himself, who would go to the ocean to do his writing, and he would have a habit of walking the beach before he would kind of begin to put pen to paper. And one day he was walking along the shore, and as he looked down the beach, he saw a human figure moving like a dancer, and he kind of smiled to himself and thought, this is a good way to begin the day. Let's dance the day. Not dance the day away, but dance the day to begin. And so he began walking faster to catch up with his dancer. And as he got closer, he saw was this young, almost a kid, who wasn't dancing, but he was reaching down to the shore, and he was picking up something and throwing it into the ocean. And as the elder writer got closer, he yelled to the young man, "What are you doing? Good morning, what are you doing?" And the guy said, "I'm just throwing starfish into the ocean." And he wanted to ask, "Well, why are you throwing starfish into the ocean?" And when he braved that, "Why would you do that?" The young man said, "Well, the sun is up, the tide is going out. If I don't throw them in, they'll die." And the elder, wise man, supposedly said to the young man, "Yeah, but come on. Don't you realize that there are miles and miles of beach and starfish all along it? You can't possibly make a difference." And the young man listened politely and then bent down, picked up another starfish, threw it into the sea, into the breaking waves, and said this, "Well, it made a difference to that one. Make a difference. But it's too puny an ambition just to make a difference." See, with StarGate, the mission, our mission, your mission, is not just to make a difference in the world. It's to make a different world. Let Jesus be your StarGate. Be a Stargazer with a life full of starbursts and Starfire and Starpower. And find in that StarGate the portal to a whole new dimension of living and serving. A blessed New Year. Semiotics is the art of angling, of turning things askew, upside down, inside out, cattywampus, sunny side up, over easy, scrambled, hard-boiled. We hope you enjoyed today's journey, but always remember, it's more important you prepare the preacher than you prepare the sermon.